today. Next panel discussion will be focused on federal agencies other than the CDFI Fund that offer resources for CDFIs outside of what we would consider to be our traditional, CDFI FA, TA, various other types of awards, Native American and others that are provided through the CDFI Fund. So we're excited to be joined by representatives from the Small Business Administration, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as our friends at Treasury. So I think the other point is that there are some additional resources, and we're excited about hearing some things, especially around SSBCI and some other exciting things about the support that HHS is doing for our industry and various other new programs and products that are being developed even as we speak in this exciting time for our industry as new resources seem to be coming to us daily. So I'm Hank Helton. I'll be the moderator for this afternoon's panel. I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Stakeholder Officer at Pathway Lending. We're a statewide regional CDFI headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee. Been around since about 1999, primarily focused on small business lending, but we also do multifamily affordable housing, energy efficiency, and then we're also involved in managing a women's business center as well as a veterans business outreach center. So excited about the opportunity today. And with that, I will let everyone know that we will be monitoring the chat room. So Paul and Bridget will be monitoring that. So if you have any questions during the panel discussion, please feel free to enter those in and submit them. And as time permits at the end of the session, we will get to those in short order. So first up, we've got Adair Morris. Adair is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Capital Access at the Office of Domestic Finance at Department of Treasury. We've got Dr. Karama Neal after Adair coming up. Dr. Neal is the administrator at the Rural Business Cooperative Service at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. After Dr. Neal, we've got Dan Upham, who many of us know closely as we're micro lenders. Dan's the chief of the Microenterprise Development Division at the Office of Financial Assistance at SBA. And then last but certainly not least, particularly with the capacity building that they do in our industry, is Rafael Elizalde. Rafael's the branch chief, Community Economic Development and Rural Development Programs at U.S. Department of HHS. So we've got a fairly compressed panel discussion today. Each panelist gets about 5 to 7 minutes to discuss their agency's work and CDFI related programs and initiatives. So again, excited about having everyone join us today. Thank you all for your time this afternoon. I hope you all are having a great institute. I know I am, and excited to hear what our panelists have to say. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Adair to talk about all the great things going on at Treasury. So Adair,
thanks, Hank. I want to talk about one narrow thing that's going on at Treasury, the SSBCI, in my 5 to 7 minutes, given that Noel was just on. So I just want to dig right into mobilizing the SSBCI for CDFI reach to small businesses. And so that's my topic here. That's what I hope to accomplish. The State Small Business Credit Initiative, as most of you know, is a program where funds go in the order of from Treasury to states, territories, or tribes. We call those jurisdictions. And then from there to providers generally, or to structures that then provide to providers to small businesses. So the first SSBCI ran from 2010 to 2016 with 1.5 billion. We have 10 billion this go round. What does that mean? That means that the states are looking for more opportunities. So in the context of where we are in Treasury and thinking through this program, I want to talk about timelines. I want to talk about the socially and economically disadvantaged piece real quickly. So in the 10 billion is 500 million to tribal governments specifically, 1.5 billion to support socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, businesses owned and controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. We just call those Ced. And 1 billion for incentive allocation to jurisdictions demonstrating robust support for Ced. Why am I spending all of my 5 minutes talking about that? The Ced features are important. The states have, again, as I mentioned, 6 to 7 times more money than they had last time. And we have built into the guidelines following the statute strong incentives for the jurisdiction not just to say they're going to reach Ced, but to deploy to reaching Ced, both today and in the future as they're realizing their own investments. So there is a tranching part of the SSBCI, and the states must perform on their reach in all of their money, a certain percent to their Ced populations in order to get next rounds of the Ced incentive allocation, and also to avoid Treasury withholding deployment of Ced money. So we have strong carrots, we think, there for the states to deploy to Ced, and what we hear from the states is they welcome those carrots. And you know, there may be some exceptions that of states standing up programs that look like the previous version of SSBCI, but we also hear of efforts for them to reach out and figure out how to get more of their funds going to Ced small businesses. We also, on top of that, just issued last week the IFR on the demographic data collection in terms in including the collection of ethnic, racial and ethnic data, as well as disability and other demographic characteristics of the small business. The Treasury rule faces the states, requiring them to have providers collect this data, which will provide more incentives for everyone involved to be reaching all of America. So those pieces we think are strong hooks as we move forward with the program for the states to continue to reach out. In addition, we have very intentionally for CDFIs, we have built in a ways for the structures that we see that provide liquidity and balance sheet risk offloading for the CDFIs who come to use in the pandemic and in other occasions that have become more commonplace. We have built that into the guidelines to make it that feasibility for states that want to use those kinds of programs. Those programs can be structured through loan participations, through guarantees, through collateral support. All different kinds of structures can be used in those structures or direct to CDFIs. But given the large sums of money, we know the states are setting up programs and that CDFIs can participate in such programs. So I cannot say affirmatively that all states have programs, but our understanding as we start to go through the review is that all states have programs or close to all states have programs that will be amenable to CDFI participation. The trick is making those matches and making the program work for CDFIs. So the states and territories have submitted the applications. All of them came in. The tribes have until May 11th. We are currently reviewing the applications, and in this quarter, primarily, and the one going forward, those will turn into acceptances, and the monies will start flowing immediately thereafter. So the key points or factors that CDFIs might want to understand in talking to your states, Hank, I know I'm out of time. The definition of Ced, capital at risk requirements, understanding state desires of sustainability, yet reaching the under-resourced, and the states thinking about this money as growth capital for small business coming out of the pandemic. Thanks, Hank.
Thank you very much, Adair. That was exciting, and SSBCI is something that, I'm really excited about. We've been involved with our Department of Economic Community Development and are very excited about the opportunities we have in Tennessee to be engaged as a CDFI in that. So thank you very much. So next up, Dr. Karama Neal. Dr. Neal is the administrator of the Rural Business Cooperative Service, as I mentioned, at the Department of Agriculture. Dr. Neal, thank you for your time this afternoon, and take it away.
Thank you so much. Really pleased to be here today. I'm going to share my screen. I have a few slides that I want to offer. You all should have these available to you. Is someone else? Oh, you're sharing it for me. Perfect. Excellent. I don't even have to do that now. Excellent. Okay. So thank you for that. Y'all will have these slides available so you can review them. I'll go through them quickly because I want to be attentive to my 7 minutes. So again, thank you all so much. As the former president of the CDFI Loan Fund, of course, this group is really, really special to me. We're focused on rural development in Arkansas and Mississippi. So it's a particular pleasure to speak with you all here today. The Rural Business Cooperative Service and rural development in particular have a variety of programs and opportunities for which CDFI banks, CDFI credit unions, and CDFI loan funds are eligible. We'll cover a few of those today and show you how you can stay connected to our work. During my brief time with you, I want to share a little bit about our priorities that's to come and some new and emerging opportunities that you might be interested in. The very nature of CDFIs, your priorities, your goals, your impact align well with USDA priorities. You can see here the priorities USDA is committed to, things like building rural economies, combating climate change, improving food security, building fair and resilient agricultural markets, and addressing longstanding inequities in USDA programs. CDFIs, as we said, are well positioned to contribute to each of these. And where particular financial institutions have a specific mission or impact, or set of activities related to these, we invite your engagement. In August, Rural Development Mission Area announced the ways in which we're implementing the priorities of the Biden-Harris administration. We're particularly interested in programs that help America build back better by looking at COVID-19 impacts, equity, and climate impacts. These priorities are used for scoring and selection for some of our programs and a growing number of them. So actually to check back at the website listed there, rd.usda.gov/priority-points. There are a number of opportunities, again, for CDFIs to address these kinds of issues in the work that you're doing. So I'm excited to be here today to share these opportunities. Next slide, please. I want to start with a couple places you're probably already familiar with. You're probably already familiar with our longstanding intermediary relending program, our IRP. This is a program that provides low interest, long-term loans to intermediary lenders to relend to businesses in rural areas. I mentioned that program and the one on the next slide, the Rural Microenterprise Assistance Program, RMAP, on the next slide, please, which provides capital to lending for lending to rural businesses with fewer than 10 employees. I mentioned these two in particular because the funds were not used for all of the funds, were not used for these programs in fiscal year 22. So we certainly hope that in this year, in fiscal year 22, that the funds are put to use in rural communities. And so again, we invite your interest in those programs. Next slide, please. The Business and Industry Guaranteed Loan Program has also been around for a long time. It offers 80% loan guarantees to lenders for their qualified loans of up to $25 million to businesses in rural areas. We are eager to have more CDFIs, more CDFI banks, CDFI credit unions, CDFI loan funds engaged with BNI and our other guarantee programs. Again, you all have this PDF, so you'll see the details there. And of course, we encourage you to visit the website. Two things I want to highlight. One, the lender registration information. Again, these loan guarantees are available to a variety of lenders. Banks and credit unions have a very short path to participating. As regulated lenders, loan funds have a little bit longer, but certainly a very manageable path to that. There is a training video. Again, you'll see this on the slides for non-regulated lenders. And again, we very much welcome your interest. Next slide, please. We, again, are excited about this, particularly with CDFIs, because you all share often, we have a shared mission many times. The Rural Energy for America program, please excuse the typo there, it should be Rural Energy for America, provides guaranteed loan financing and grant funding to agricultural producers and rural small businesses for renewable energy systems or to make energy efficiency improvements. Eligible loans, again, of up to $25 million can receive a guarantee of up to 80%. So again, I think this is a hopefully attractive piece, and we'd love, again, to have more CDFIs engaged in this program. Next slide, please. Here you'll see some of the eligible uses of funds in REAP. And again, if you all are focused on climate or those kinds of things, you'll see, I think, some really interesting uses here that might be relevant to some of your potential borrowers. Next slide, please. Again, our guarantee programs are typically managed through our 1RD guarantee platform. You'll see a variety of programs there, including the two I mentioned, and then two from our sister agencies, the Rural Housing Authority Service, and the Rural Utility Service. So again, there's additional information there about the guarantee programs. Next slide, please. Now, turning to a little bit of what's new. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed significant vulnerabilities in America's food supply chain, leading to bottlenecks and other challenges in the middle of the food supply chain. Because of this, and under the leadership of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and Secretary Vilsack, we are strengthening and diversifying the food supply chain. in response to this goal, in December, we announced a new food supply chain guaranteed loan program to create more and better market opportunities. Through this program, we're leveraging $100 million in funding from the American Rescue Plan Act to back more than $1.3 billion in guaranteed loans to finance working capital, facilities, equipment, and other investments. Again, here we're looking at guarantees of up to 90% for loans of up to $40 million with no minimums there. So again, I encourage you to see the links. This is a new program. We're very much welcome. We're just at the beginning of accepting applications. I have actually not awarded any funds yet. So the money is there, and we welcome your interest in this particular program. Next slide, please. I want to highlight the last program I want to highlight is the Rural Innovation and Stronger Economy program. And I mentioned this one particularly because it is an approach that we're taking where it's really, the program is in a lot of ways very community driven. RISE, as it's known, offers grant assistance to create and augment high-wage jobs, accelerate the formation of new businesses, support industry clusters, and maximize the use of local productive assets in eligible low-income rural areas. Nonprofit entities, which may be represented on this call, can use this program to help develop rural job accelerators that are shaped by community partners. And so we're again excited about this. We've been through one round and are looking forward to opening that again. Next slide, please. This quick briefing has just scratched the surface of the almost 40 programs at the Rural Business Cooperative Service. In addition to those programs and the programs at our sister agencies, we offer a number of resources. I've listed a few here that may be of interest that collect federal resources in particular areas. So if there's a particular sector that you're interested in, there may be lending that you may be doing, but some of the folks you're involved with may be interested in grant or TA or other kinds of programs that are highlighted in these resources. Next slide, please. So ideally, you are intrigued by some of this work, particularly some of the new programs that perhaps you might not have heard about yet. If so, know that our almost 400 state and area offices are truly the front door to rural development programs. We encourage you to stop by, give us a call, or send us an email. On the next slide, please. Again, I just want to thank you all for this opportunity and look forward to the Q&A session coming up.
Great. Thanks so much, Dr. Neal. Plethora of programs available to our industry through Department of Agriculture, all very effective as a BNI lender and as an organization that's participated in a couple of brief deals with you all. I'm very excited about what's going on. I'm particularly excited about the Food Supply Chain Guarantee Program and trying to figure out how we might be able to engage in RISE as well. So for those of you participating in the panel today, and they're not tapped into the USDA products, I encourage you all to take a look at them because they are very effective, particularly in our rural communities. So next up is Dan Upham. Dan's our Chief Microenterprise Development Division Director at the Office of Financial Assistance for the Small Business Administration. I think a man that goes without any introduction, but Dan, thank you for joining us today, and I'll turn it over to you. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you so much, Hank, and thanks for the opportunity to speak as a panelist today. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm the chief for microenterprise development at SBA, and so the chief responsibility I have is to oversee and run the SBA Microlymph program, and really just wanted to give a briefing today on the program and then let you know sort of, some of the other products that SBA offers that CDFIs can work with, should be working with, to try to expand opportunities, create equity, and, really drive the scale that we need to be helping folks that need financing as well as training and technical assistance that they just aren't able to get yet for whatever the reason through traditional funding sources. If you could just slip over to the next slide. And one more, please. So just wanted to touch base briefly. 2021 in our microloan program, volume was down reasonably significantly, and the main reason for that is that many of our participating lenders, and many of which are CDFIs, were also participating in some of the other relief efforts under the Economic Aid Act, the COVID relief, PPP program, restaurant revitalization, shuttered venues, et cetera, and so regular program lending volumes were down last year. But even in a down year, the program continues to make a significant impact. More than $74 million going to small businesses, and the average loan size of that $74 million is around $14,000. So really making an impact to the smallest small businesses. As the slide shows, nearly 37% of all the loans made in 21 were to startups. Nearly half were to majority woman-owned businesses. Minority lending has always been a central theme for our microloan intermediaries, and that certainly continued in fiscal year 2021. And the program, even in the down year, was able to create and maintain more than 17,500 jobs. So we're pretty proud of those accomplishments. Next slide. Okay, so what we're showing here is for each of the years listed, the data starts at October 1st, which is the beginning of the federal fiscal year. And this data goes through January 31st of each year. And so you can see, as I said, in 2021, the volume was down. But as the COVID relief efforts have finished, you can see that 2022 lending volume in our small lending programs, the microloan program and Community Advantage, have bounced back very nicely. Next slide, please. And so this slide, just really quickly, obviously one of the priorities of this administration is on equity, and so just wanted to show quickly what our underserved market performance looks like. And as you can see, there's a fairly significant bounce back in fiscal year 2022 to date. So I just wanted to show that our minority lending, our women lending, our veteran lending have all performed very, very well in fiscal year 22. Next slide, please. And just want to touch very quickly, under the Economic Aid Act, there have been some changes to the microloan program. Very quickly, we're now allowed to lend up to $7 million to our intermediary lenders. On an annual basis, we can lend up to $3 million. The lenders can make microloans with a 7-year term now. Before the legislative changes, that was a 6-year maximum. And probably one of the more important changes, Congress increased our calculation of our technical assistance grant funding. Our ceiling used to be 25% of an intermediary's debt balance under the program. They've now put 25% as a floor and increased the ceiling of our grant calculation to 30%. So giving a fairly large boost, and obviously, seeing just how important those training and technical assistance dollars are. And, of course, it's subject to appropriation, but at least for fiscal year 22, and it appears very likely for fiscal year 23 as well, we will be able to make those grants at the maximum level based on current funding levels and rollovers of prior year fundings. Next slide, please. And just wanted to pass along, during the COVID relief, Section 1112 allowed SBA to make payments on behalf of the small business borrowers under the microloan program, as well as our other lending programs. And just under the microloan program, more than $58 million and 131,000 loan payments were made with those funds. And that helped more than 18,200 small businesses. Next slide. And just very quickly, wanted to go through some of our other lending programs. You see the government contracting, the surety bond program, which helps very small contractors get surety guarantees. Our microloan program for our smallest dollar loans, graduating into Community Advantage, and then some of our larger programs, 504 and the 7A loan program. And also just wanted to highlight that Along with government contracting, we also have the entrepreneurial education programs at SBA, women's business centers, SCORE, veterans business, small business development centers, and so forth. So there are a lot of resources available at SBA to help your small businesses, regardless of what level of development they're at. Next slide, please. And so just we have 1,400 partner offices nationwide. If you're not already connected with SBA in some way, I really encourage you to get connected, either by participating in our programs, getting to know our entrepreneurial education resources and using them. Just want to make sure that everybody has the information they need and knows where they can go to find those resources. Next slide. One more slide. And so, once again, just wanted to make sure everybody knew, some of those other resources that SBA has available. And obviously, any of the resources that you may need, you can go directly to your local district office or to sba.gov and get the information that you need to participate with those programs. Next slide. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I do have my email and contact information on the bottom of the slide. So if you ever have any questions about SBA programs, the Microlymph program, and so on, feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for your time.
Dan, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. And as a microlender for over 20 years now, we really appreciate everything the SBA does for our industry. And thank you for those permanent changes in October last year, particularly related to the technical assistance component, and not to mention the relief you all provided to our clients during the height of the pandemic. So very impactful and intentional programs and products through SBA. Those of you that aren't participating on the panel, I encourage you to check into those. And those that are, I hope they're as beneficial to you as they are to Pathway. So next up, we've got Rafael Elizalde. Rafael is the branch chief of community economic development at Health and Human Services. And Rafael, without further ado, we're pulling up your slide presentation and I'll let you take it away, sir. Thank you very much for participating this afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? I hope you are. Thank you. My name is Rafael Elizalde, and I am the program manager with the Office of Community Services. This presentation will provide an overview of the Community Economic Development Program, or CED, discretionary grant program, and discuss some ways the CED program grantees and CDFIs can collaborate to continue to improve underserved communities. In addition, we will highlight two upcoming CED funding opportunities that serve as opportunities for further CD and CDFI collaboration. Next slide. So the Community Economic Development Program is one of 7 programs within the Office of Community Services focused on reducing poverty, and is the only federal program with the primary focus of creating jobs for individuals with low income in communities with high rates of unemployment and poverty. The CED program addresses the economic needs of families with low income through the creation of sustainable business opportunities and development and employ individuals with low income and growing local revenue. The CED program awards funds to community economic development corporations, or CDCs, including faith-based organizations and tribal and Alaskan Native organizations. The CED program does not provide funding directly to individuals. Unlike programs that support families by providing cash assistance or program services, CED strengthens families and communities by creating jobs that employ local individuals with low incomes and strengthens the community by growing local revenue. Some examples of projects funded by the CED program include commercial kitchens, manufacturing businesses, shopping centers, grocery stores, distribution centers, restaurants, farmers markets, agricultural initiatives, business incubators, social enterprises, and more. Next slide, please. As mentioned, the CED program awards funds to community development corporations. So to be a qualified CDC, an organization must meet 3 conditions. The organizations must be a private nonprofit with a 501c3 status. The organizations must have articles of incorporation or bylaws demonstrating that the CDC has a principal purpose of planning, development, or managing low-income housing or community development projects. And the board of directors of the organization must have representation from community residents, business leaders, and civic leaders. Now, the CDC designation does not need to be specified on any official document, as long as the 3 requirements stated earlier in these definitions are met. Next slide. So for CED projects, 75% of the jobs created must be filled by individuals with low income. This includes TANF recipients, non-custodial parents, residents of public housing, formerly incarcerated individuals, homeless individuals, and others. Job created through the CED programs are intended to be high-quality jobs that provide living wages, paid leave, fringe benefits, opportunities for career growth, and or predictable and flexible scheduling. The CED program is not just a job creation program, it also seeks to fund projects that addresses the personal and community barriers that must be overcome to help low-income individuals become self-sufficient. CED grantees are required to connect employees to critical wraparound support services which help remove barriers to employment and allow individuals to maintain long-term employment. This includes financial literacy assistance, childcare services, transportation, substance use disorder treatment, and English language education. These services help to remove barriers to employment and allow individuals to maintain long-term employment and achieve self-sufficiency. Next slide, please. CED funds may use multiple project strategies as consistent with cost principles as implemented in 45 CFR Part 75 Subpart E, which includes startup capital for operating business expenses such as salaries, facilities, and equipment that will be replaced by projected earnings, loans to identify viable participating businesses, equity or stock investments in identify viable participating businesses, and or constructions or renovation of new or existing businesses. The training and placement of individuals in positions existing prior to the start of the project, even positions guaranteed to individuals with low incomes through a formal agreement with an employer, is not allowable under our grant. Limited incubator development is allowable as long as the applicant demonstrates the incubator will support participating businesses that demonstrate the financial capacity to create the agreed upon jobs for individuals with low incomes in the proposed region. Go to next slide, please. 6 and 7. Let's go to slide 7, which talks about project outcomes. So the CED program has a strong impact in the community it serves. I would like to just quickly highlight some of these impacts. When we look at CED grants that were completed between 2015 and 2020, we see that these grants have resulted in the creation or expansion of over 2,100 businesses and over 9,000 new full-time, full-year jobs for individuals with low incomes. In addition, CED grants have resulted in over $1 billion additional dollars committed by other sources and investments and invested in the communities in which CED grantees work. Outcomes for the most recent completed CED grants completed in 2021 are simply positive. Are similarly positive. CED grants continue to create or expand new businesses, hire individuals with low income from the communities in which the grantees work, and infuse additional local funding into the projects. Next slide. So when we look at CED grants that were completed, next one is slide 8. So one of the goals of the CED program is to increase access to capital to communities and businesses who otherwise will not have access to. Meaningful economic revitalization efforts rely on access to capital and financing. In economically depressed communities, access to capital empowers businesses to create and expand that created and expanded, provides more employment opportunities and increases local revenue in communities. Often, businesses in these communities are not able to get capital from financial institutions, which are traditional, that will not invest due to the risk. This is why federal programs like the CED program that invest in communities and provide financing to fuel economic revitalization efforts are critical. This is very closely aligned with the mission-driven approach of CDFIs to provide financial services in low-income individuals and to people who lack access to financing. How can CED grantees and CDFIs collaborate with each other? Leverage CED and CED funds together to have a bigger impact in bringing capital to underserved communities. As I mentioned, CED grantees and CDFIs have similar mission-driven approach to community development. A CED grantee and CDFI partnership can help make an even greater impact in the communities they serve. CED grantees and CDFIs both provide credit products, financial services, and access to capital in local communities. Collaboration can help expand financial products and credit services being provided and or help CED grantees provide services to new areas. CDFIs can explore working with CED grantees to assist them in becoming a certified CDFI through CDFI Technical Assistance Funds. Next slide. Any CDFI interested in applying for CED funds should take a closer look at our prospective applicant resource page. Additionally, any CDFI interested in connect with CED grantees in your areas, take a look at our grantee map on our CED web page. Both URLs are provided on this slide. Next slide, please. Next, I will cover the two upcoming Notice of Funding Opportunity announcement through the CED program, or NOFO. So the first one is the regular, more traditional community economic development projects. It's the same announcement as from the 2021 with slight modifications. So we recommend that you read it closely to understand the changes. We also have available in announcement number 2, the Community Economic Development Program, which is focused on energy communities. The forecast opportunity will be posted in grants.gov, and you can access it by searching in the CFDA number 93.570. I will quickly walk through them right now. So the 2022 NOFO is expected to be released in spring 2022, very close. And its release will be announced among CED stakeholders and networks. Please note, this is the FY 2021 Community Economic Development Project standing announcement. This year, it is being republished with a slight modification from 2021. So the NOFO will provide instructions for applicants on how to apply for CED funds and what should be included in the application. Following application review, OCS makes all awards determination before the end of the fiscal year. So in fiscal year 2022, we estimate providing $12.3 million in CED funding through 15 awards. The maximum ceiling will be $800,000 and the minimum will be $100,000. Next slide. The CED program is aligned with President Biden's Executive Orders 14008, tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad, supporting efforts to empower workers by revitalizing energy communities that have experienced employment loss and or economic dislocation events because of declines in fossil fuel industry. As energy communities face changing economies, the CED program continues to support the creation and expansion of business and employment opportunities to replace employment loss in fossil fuel industries in these hard-hit communities. For 2022, a separate NOFO is also expected to be released with a specific focus on CED projects that will be located in and serve energy communities. Communities that have either experienced employment loss or economic dislocation events as a result of declines in the fossil fuel industry will be specifically targeted, including coal, energy production or distribution, oil, gas, and power plant communities across the country. Projects may include the creation or expansion of businesses that reduce emission of toxic substances and greenhouse gases from existing and abandoned infrastructure, and that prevent environmental damage that harms communities and poses a risk to public health and safety. Projects may also employ individuals from energy communities, but focus on a range of other industries. The overall goal of this effort is to create good paying jobs, spur economic revitalization, remediate environmental degradation, and support energy workers. Further, these grants will be made as part of the broader strategy to address objectives such as decreasing dependency on federal programs, chronic unemployment, and community deterioration in urban and rural areas. And again, we expect it to be to release it on spring 2022. Next slide, please. So for both projects, bonus points are awarded to proposed projects that have characteristics that are aligned with administration priorities. The following are the four bonus points included in both opportunities. Please note, additional or different bonus points might be included in each opportunity, so please closely review when it is released. Rural communities with high rates of poverty, unemployment, and substance use disorder, areas of persistent poverty, alignment with Promise Zone Initiative, states or trust territories without active CED grants. Next CED slide, please. So what are we looking for in applications to ensure awards are made to projects that will be successful? Applications will be reviewed by third-party panels comprised of outside experts and practitioners in the community economic development field and federal program staff against the following criteria. The application demonstrates that there's a clear and established need for the project. The proposed project aligns with Ced Program objectives. The proposed project will provide support services to employees to reduce employment barriers. The application includes a holistic plan for project implementation. The application demonstrates the viability of participating businesses, also demonstrate that will create high quality positions. The applicant organizations have experience implementing similar projects, has sufficient organizational staff and project partner experience, and there's sufficient public support to carry out the project. Sufficient funds are available and planned expenditures are necessary, appropriate, and reasonable. Of all of the project elements, needs for assistance, objectives, business plan, and project budget and budget justification are aligned with one another. So more information about the CED program is available on the CED website here in this last slide. The funding announcement, when available, will be posted in ACF grants page as well as the grants.gov. So finally, if you have any question about the program, please contact me, Rafael J. Elizalde, email at the slides or ocsregistered@acf.com. Glad to be here. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you again, Rafael. As you all can see, HHS through its CED programs offers a variety of very impactful community-related products and services, but more importantly, a capacity building component to that for our industry, which is very much appreciated, especially for new and emerging CDFI. So thank you all for your work that you're doing there at HHS very much. We're running at time, so we do have a couple of comments. I think probably Bridget and Paul and I can address those independent after the panel discussion here. So, but I would like to thank all of our panelists this afternoon. Thank you all for your commitment to the work that we do as and to our industry and to the communities that we serve. As an active CDFI Coalition board member, I'd also like to thank Raposa for pulling us all together this afternoon and organizing the Institute again this year. Y'all do a great job. A particular shout out to Bridget and Paul for all the work that they've done in getting us to where we are today and onward and upward, as they say. So thank you all again for your participation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Institute. And thank you again for everything that all of you do for our industry.